Welcome
to the joy of coding.
Hello, and welcome to episode 336 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. I've been away for a couple of weeks. I was traveling. I was seeing the world. I was seeing colleagues. A bunch of us got together in Montreal. Some of the people who are watching this, I think I saw in Montreal. Danny Colin, who I think is in the chat, I managed to say hello to. I fist bumped Danny Colin and said hello. Tremendous beard on Danny Colin. It's so good to be back, though. We're going to be live hacking on some Firefox stuff today. Let's get started. Start by sharing my screen. Oh, this is Wacky Morning DJ. This is I wasn't planning on showing you this on when I switched away, but this is what I use to play sounds. The styling is a little out of date. I think it's using like the first version of Flex, which is why all of the items here are actually packed to the end, but this is where I play my sounds, like or
Mamma mia!
Anyway, I like to have that in an app tab. What are we doing today? Well, it's August 30th, 2023. It's episode 336. A reminder, no plan survives breakfast. I think I know what I want to do today. I have a plan. I have a thing I want to try and do. We're still working on Windows jump list stuff. I haven't touched it in 2 weeks since the last time I streamed. I have not been touching this stuff. And that's been the name of the game with this jump list project, where I've only been working on it during the stream, so you've seen every single itty-bitty progression. And someone had a great idea, I think I mentioned it on August 9th, that when this is all done, we should do some kind of like review. We should go and like maybe do a supercut of all the interesting things that happened during this whole process, a recap, because we've been working on this for a while. We've reached the point where we've got a working back end. We're writing tests. We're writing tests in a language that I'm not as comfortable with. Well, I'm somewhat comfortable in C++, but like I'm used to a particular flavor of C++. I'm writing it in a flavor of C++ that I'm not as comfortable with, using a framework I'm not that familiar with, and using a library for that framework I'm not super comfortable with. So you're getting to watch me be pretty uncomfortable. I'm in my outside of my comfort zone, and that's okay. That's a fine place to be. But because of that, things could go wrong. I might get stuck. We might be stuck here for an hour and a half while I try and figure out how to access JavaScript values from C++. That could very well be, and we'll see. But I'll be with you the whole way, because that's what we're doing here. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing, the agenda that we're looking at, that's got all these handy links, is something that you have access to. If you are watching this on YouTube or Diode.zone, check out the video description down below. If you're watching this on Air Mozilla, check out the details section over there. And if you're watching this on Twitch, down in the channel details, there'll be a link to the agenda, as well as the rate this episode form, which, if you're ever interested in letting me know what you thought of the episode, or if you just want to reach out and ask me a question or give me a, I don't know, give me some feedback on how things are going, or you want a question read out on air, you can always rate this episode. And I'll read out your questions and I'll try and answer them. All right, so last time on The Joy of Coding, back at the beginning of August in episode 335, we had just succeeded in writing a test for, what was it? Check for removals. And we'd written this stuff, and it worked. Now, what we had done, hopefully you can read this okay. Let me maybe bring up the font just a little bit. What we had done was we had made it so that we can call our check for removals function, and our backend was, constructing these MS-COM things. We've got we're creating an instance of an iObject collection, and we create something called a shell link, and we poked some values into them, just some test values, and then we poked the right stuff in to our out param, because that's what the PPV thing is. It's an out param, and we added a reference to it, because that's important to do, so that it doesn't get destroyed whenever we hand it back. And then and that works. Like we've got this thing we call a check for removals, and so this promise should be resolving with this, with the result of this stuff. That's not to say that it's getting back an object array. In fact, not that at all. What it's getting back is a JavaScript array. So I just want to I want to review this and sort of say it to myself as well out loud, because sometimes this is difficult to remember and to keep in our heads. And if you haven't been watching the stream before or in a while, I just want to set some context. We've got 3 pieces here. Actually, is this an opportunity for me to draw? I haven't drawn in a while. I don't know if I've got... You know what? I don't have my drawing pad set up. If I did, I'd draw right now. Oh, it's been a while since I've used it. So I'm just gonna do it in I'm gonna open up TextEdit here, and I'm gonna do an ASCII diagram. You've got a couple things. You've got NSI. We've got what we are calling our jump list builder. We have our jump list backend. And you've got our front end code. We are testing this thing. The back end is basically, this is a an interface that is a thin layer over the Win32 MS-COM jump list interface. A jump list backend looks like this. It's basically just calling. It's got the same methods that you would use to talk to the Windows and jump list stuff. But the reason that we have this interface in the middle is so that we can replace it with a testing one in our tests. And that's what we're doing, because what we're testing is this component. We are not testing this thing. We are testing this thing. And we're not testing this thing yet. We will eventually test that stuff. But what we're testing is this. So when we go back to our test here, when we're doing this, we're preparing our testing, what we call our testing jump list backend, to respond with a certain... We're instructing it to respond with something. And we're calling into jump list builder, which calls into this to get that value out. And then it processes that value, and that result of processing the value is what we want. So normally this jump list builder is called from front end code, and so what this thing actually returns is a promise. Like if we take a look at the definition for check for removals, it's got an out param that is a promise, a DOM promise. This is the sort of thing that our JavaScript front end can make sense of. But we're writing our test in C++, which means that we somehow have to make sense of a DOM promise that is normally consumed by JavaScript. Now, we did that a little bit last time by using something called a native handler. We figured out how to wait for a promise to resolve. What we didn't do is we didn't set it up so that we get access to the thing it resolved with. Thin layer, Mike infinitely scrolling a file. Yeah, thin layer. It's a, the jump list backend interface is, I think, defined in jumplistbuilder.h, and it is just this. It is just this, and it's supposed to map one-to-one with the iCustom destination list interface. The only reason that that we do it this way is so that we can swap in our testing backend, and that testing backend is one that we set up inside of our test here. It's defined right at the start, right around here, and we are using the gmock stuff to prepare it, to set it with values and whatnot. So hopefully all of that's more or less straightforward of what we're trying to do. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get at the thing that the promise resolves with. Because right now we're just waiting until it resolves, and then we don't do anything with the value. And that, you know, that works, but that doesn't let us do like all of the testing that we want. So I'm gonna modify, my idea is to modify spin until resolved so that we get the value out the other side. And how spin until resolved works is it basically blocks, it spins the native event loop until the promise resolves. This is a very hacky way of having, you know, because these tests are kind of, I think they're not expected to yield to any kind of event loop. So we have to actually like block whenever we're waiting for something to happen that is asynchronous. So that's what this thing does, is it blocks. And now what I want to do is get a value out from it. And we can see that the promise resolver thing, wait for resolver, what happens is whenever it's resolved, the interface that we're implementing, which is promise native handler, it is passed a couple of things: a JS context, a value, and, you know, an error result in the event that somehow we're resolving with an error. I don't fully understand what we're supposed to do with a error, but that is the signature. And a value is, I think, the thing that we want. And all we're doing right now is we're setting this Boolean flag so that this function, which will spin the event loop, will eventually exit. Like, this will suddenly be true, and then this function will, you know, finally we will complete running it, and we'll move on to the next step. And down here is where we would like return the JS values. So we've kind of got a little bit of stashing and juggling that we need to do, where I want to stash the JS value that is resolved with here, and then I want to return it here. So let's figure out how to do that. We might be spending most of the episode figuring out how to do that. Just an FYI. Like, dealing with JavaScript stuff, I write JavaScript for Firefox, and I'm pretty comfortable. But working with JavaScript from this other angle, like I'm working with JavaScript primitives from the native language side of things, that's new to me. So we might be down in the guts of SearchFox for a while we figure this out. So let's figure out how we can. Let's start small. Let's hold on to this value that is that we resolve with. Are there any other promise native handlers that do this? That's my first question. Maybe in tests or something. Let's see if we can find a good one. Extension test. Like resolved callback. What happens with a value? So we create a value, another value. JS value to source. What happens with a value? Do we do anything with a value? Interestingly, we don't actually do anything with a value here, I don't think. We do if we reject, but not if we resolve. Okay, let's look at a different example. Test. Other tests. Test promise listener. Resolved callback. We don't do anything with the value. Okay. All right, let's look at some of these other ones. DOM localization. Resolved callback. Aha, we do something with the value. We check to see if the value is an object. Basically, all I want to do is hold on to it if I can. I think that's what I want to do. I want to hold on to it so I can return it when that spin completes. So is there something that does that? Moz promise holder, resolved callback. Let's look at all of the resolved callbacks. No. convert JS value to USV string. Okay, so that if that happens to be a string, it'll do it. Get some variant. It's interesting. Interesting. But how do I stash the value? Is there maybe what I should be looking for is like MJS value or something. MJS val. That's interesting. MJS val. Variant. JS heap. Is this a pattern I can use? JS heap. JS value. Okay. Hold up. This might be what I want. M result. What do you do with M result? M result. Fire success. M result equals A result. So if you get a handle, fire success. This looks right. Let's try this. JS heap, JS value, M result. I think that's a decent enough name. Let's do that. So let me put this up here actually. JS heap, JS value, M result. Let's see if we can set M result equals A value. Let's just see if that compiles. If it does, great. And then we'll change our signature to return our result. What else is done with M result in this example? Get result. We get a handle. Okay. Do we have anything that tends to return JS mutable handles? As a return value. It's a lot of out params. Well, maybe what we want then is we can use the pattern that we'd seen just now, which was calling get result. This is some generated code. Context get result. Okay. So what we could do is spin until resolved could take an argument, which is this. And then we could say M result, one thing, M retval, A retval dot set M result. And then let's see if we can call Now, not every promise is going to have a return value, I realize. So we might actually want two versions of this. One that spin until resolved with result. Something like that. Let's see if we can with result. We're going to pass in. We need to create a value. We have a CX. We have a JavaScript context result. And then we could pass that in. Does that compile? If so, then we have successfully gotten, I think, our result out, or it would seem to be. And then we just need to sniff at this result. And now I don't actually, it's an array. I believe it'll be an array. So it's linking, that's good. And if I remember correctly, it should be an array of URLs. Check for removals. Removed URLs, it'll be an array of strings, really. Clear history is passed, removed URLs. Yeah, they should just be strings. So what I want to do is manipulate. Okay, so that passed, that's fine. So presumably result is now an array. I'd like to know how to figure that out. It's like is array. Do we have something like that? Is array. This is going to be tricky because like there are lots of places where we might ask if something is an array and it has nothing to do. Is undefined, however, is very JS centric. So like, can I find out, actually, what is the definition JS rapid pointer operations? Is undefined, is Boolean, is double, is object. Huh. So here's a problem. I'm pretty sure an array is just another object. How do we iterate an array? Copy options into a JS array. That is pretty old school. JS channels. Can I like call length on it? MJS channels is an auto T array of JS objects. What I want to do is I need to access the JavaScript array. How do I do that? Array. New array object. This is interesting. JS object, JS rooted JS object events array. And then what do you do with your events array? Record value, append, items, append. JS define element. I have a feeling it's going to be something like this, where we've got like JS these are how you access things. JS define element, JS set element. Is there something like get element at index? Define element. Get element at. Element at. Yeah, if we had like a normal array, that's how you do it. But for a JavaScript array, is there some kind of JS array buffer clone? Array object, array from arguments object. Array object is a native object. Is this a JavaScript array? Built-ins. That sounds right. Okay. Okay. We're maybe onto something here. So obj as array object. Can I do that? What is obj? Obj is a JS object. Can I do this as array object? Is that like the way to do things? That seems to be how the JavaScript engine does things, but I'm worried that I'm not seeing many other things outside of the engine do that. Like this might be the internal representation of the array. Public API string is array index. String is array index. What else is public? New array object. Is array object sounds worth checking out, because if there's going to be stuff that's like checking if a thing is an array. All right, well, we can start there. Assert true. JS is array object, and then we're going to pass it, of course, our context and our result. Let's see if that compiles and is true. And while we're waiting for that, let's see some examples of doing stuff with one of these things. Property list. You can not quite. History. Now you're speaking my language. Val is an object. Is array. Oh, there's an out param here. So what we're going to say is bool is array. Moz assert. We'll say assert true. Moz is array. We're going to pass. Whoops. I don't know what you were complaining about there. And then we'll also assert true is array. And then, aha, this is how you can get the array length. Let's try to do that. Array length is some uint32t. So uint32t length equals 0, and then we'll say get array length. Assert true, get array length. We'll pass in cx result. And then we'll say length. And then we will assert true, or is it assert equal? Do we have assert equal? I think we have assert equal. EQ. Assert true. What assertions do I have? Assert equal. Okay. Assert equal. Length should be 1. Let's see if that builds. I will be very pleased if we can get some values out of this thing. Like if we can get a string comparison. No, pretty unhappy. What's going on? What are you upset about? Okay. Upset because no viable conversion from value to rooted value to handle JS object. Get array. So there's a difference between a JS value and a JS object pointer. I see. All right. Well, let's see if we can figure out how to convert from one to the other. Oh, I see. You turn it into an object, to object or null. Value is object or null, then you get access to a JS object. Okay, all right, sure. Is object or null? I don't want it to be null. Is there a way I can say is object? Is object. Okay, Moz assert result dot is object, or assert true rather, which kind of does this thing right here. Well, not quite. This is checking to see if it's an array object. And then what we're going to do is we're going to try and convert it using this JS rooted object. I'm going to call it obj, and we're going to say result to object or null. And we're going to see if the obj is an array. Is array object? I have to pass the context first. Sorry, context. Obj is array. All right, let's see if it's happier about this. Unfortunately, whenever you're dealing with like the primitives of JavaScript from the C++ side of things, as I understand it, I mean, you're having to deal with a lot of the atoms of what makes JavaScript work, like the fact that it's garbage collected. And so that's what like things like rooted help you do. All right, so there are a bunch of notes in here. Warning, comparison of integers of different signs. Unsigned int versus const int. Oh, okay. So you want, well, passed, that's good. So you want like, what, uint 32t. Is that the way I would express that? Let's seems kind of klutzy. What am I trying to see here? This is a uint32t literal. How do I express an uint32t? Uint literal. ul suffix. Define my constant. I just want to know how to do a literal. Integer literal. How do I write a short literal? uint32. So maybe I want like, what's the equivalent of calls 1, calls 2? Okay, so just U, capital U. Maybe that's what I want. Very strange syntax. Okay, so we have confirmed that we have gotten back an array of size 1. That's great. That's great. So we're making progress here. Now that we know that we have an array and it is of length 1, we want to get access to that array object. And that array object should be a string. So let's see more uses of get array length, because I have a feeling this is going to be important. Observable. Get element value cx at index. Oh, this is interesting. So get array length backing list object is some object. Here's what you do. You say what the index that you want, and okay, I can do this. Excuse me. Okay, so get some URL value, and I'm gonna say assert true JS get, what is it? Get element. Then we're going to pass in our context, our object, which is that, our index 0, and the value, URL value. So that should give us our value. And then what I want is to do a string comparison. I want the string, what can I do with the string? I want to do a string comparison. I want to see if it is this example.com. JS string to number. String value. How about obj is string? No? Surely that is that like one of the map value is object. Where are you? JS wrapped operations. Do you have something that's like is string to string? That's the to string though. Is string just yet another? It's just another object type. Is array object. How about JS is string? No. Is array object. What do they have? Built-in string. What do they have for strings? String. Stir from char code. Public. I need the public API. No? String namespace imports value. Stir from char code. installed in the self-hosting global. JS string index of string.js. What is this? String protest match, string match. It's the built-in stuff. Escape. Stir. Public. And you can't do a regular stir comp? Not yet, because what I have is a JS value. I need to either do a stir comp with like, I need to like turn it into an ASCII string or like a C string or something. So maybe that's, I need to like understand how to do that. Oh, look at all this. Look at this. Ah. Okay, I might have to read that at some point, but let's see if I can get at I can see some examples of it being turned into a string that can be compared. JS string. Message value, toString. That's interesting. Message value. It's a value. You can just say toString on it. And then it's a JS string. Is that okay? Like, can I say like URL string CX URL value toString? Now I have a JS string. And do we have any tests? I need to get I want to get a C string out to JS toString stir, and then I can say an auto JS string and an auto JS string. Now we're starting to get into stuff that I understand. Auto JS string is like an auto string. Okay. Okay. So then I say JS rooted toString assert true URL auto stir auto string .init cx URL string. And I'm going to call this URL JS string. And we'll say ns auto JS string URL auto string. We're going to init, and then I have an auto string. And I think I know how to do auto string. I believe inherits from like this stuff, NST string, which is NS, like you start getting to like our internal XPCOM string classes, and that is actually something I know how to deal with, sort of. Okay, still not happy. What were you unhappy about? Oh, okay, you don't like that JS string. What else are you not happy about? That might be it. That might be all that's unhappy about. Because there is a Mozilla internal string guide, which has a lot of helpful auto.js. There's like a equals equals literal. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do equals literal. Nope, not happy. What are you not happy about? Did I not save? I didn't save. And then what I think I want to do is say like assert true URL auto string equals literal http s://example.com I think that. So now it's linking. If this works, we will have done it. We will have done the right thing. I think what I'll do though, presuming that this works, is I'm gonna want to pass a couple of other things, like maybe 2 or 3 URLs through, not just the one. So that worked. All right, now let's test this part, the equivalence part. I'm surprised. Like, it's possible that I'm using a mixture of techniques that for which there are like helpers, and because this may strike you as all being quite verbose to do what is essentially an array index and string comparison. I've spent the last 20 minutes trying to figure out how to do an array access on an index and a string comparison. That's because I'm doing it with the JavaScript primitives from the side of JS, from the C++ land, which I'm not used to. But and so there might be helpers to do this kind of thing. Incredible. It worked. It worked. Okay, let's do another one. Well, first of all, let me commit HG amend. Let's maybe play a victory sound.
Hi-oh!
I can't do my work. What happened?
Hi-oh!
That's right.
Very good. Okay, so let's pass in another one. So I don't actually remember whether or not add object is a copy operation. What is object collection? Let me take a look at object collection. What does add object do? As a single object, pointer to the who has ownership? Doesn't say. So for example, if I then set arguments to be something else, here, let's try this. After I add the object, I'm going to set the argument to be ns auto string other link ref https clownshoes.com set arguments other link ref. Will the test now fail? If it doesn't, that means we can reuse the same link object. What's happening is there's a copy occurring. And that's good. That might save us some time. But if this fails and it's like, oh, I expected example.com and instead I see clownshoes.com, that means it is not a copy. But I think it is, because we create this thing on the stack. We create this shell link thing on the stack, and we don't do anything to keep it around. So I think that the underlying collection is copying it. Yeah, I figured. So we can actually reuse the same we can reuse the same link and not have to. Let's reuse the same iShell link, but change the URL to add our second entry. I'm gonna just pause for a quick second. There's someone at my door. I have to go check it out. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, folks. Looked more important than it was. Turns out there are canvassers trying to get people to sell their homes or something. Okay, so let's reuse the same iShell link, but change the URL to add our second entry. What we'll do actually is I'm going to add some documentation here. Let's prepare begin list to return a 2-entry collection of iShell links. The first iShell link will have the URL be https example.com. The second will have the URL be https mozilla.org. Okay. Add our second entry, mozilla.org. And we'll call this, maybe we'll call this one first link ref. First link ref. And then we'll call this one second link ref. Second link ref, and then we'll say collection add object link. Let's see if that causes our test to fail, because now we should expect to see 2 items in our array. That's presuming that the iCollection thing, object collection, isn't going to be freaked out by the fact that we passed in the same object the second time. I don't imagine it would be. If it's just doing a copy, I don't know why it would try and remember what objects have been passed in the past. That seems bizarre to me, but who knows? This is like ancient Windows stuff, so we'll see what goes on. So I will expect this to fail because the number of items in the array has changed. That is my guess. Let's see. Come on now. Yeah, okay, so yes, length is 2 instead of 1, so that's good, that's good. So that worked. So then, and also this is the default value to return according to right, hang on, begin list, PC min slots. What is that again? PC min slots is the first value that's, yeah, the default value is 10, yeah, okay, according to that. Okay, so then we should expect to see 2. We should expect to see 2 URL strings returned in the array. And then we have to like do this whole rigmarole twice. The first one should be https example.com, and then the second one should be mozilla.org. All right, so we're gonna just URL value. I'm gonna say first URL value. And first URL string, JS string, and first URL auto string. I actually wonder if we should be, this is a bit pedantic, but we're gonna use all caps because URL is an acronym. First URL. Yes, I could be doing find and replace. I can hear you. I can hear you saying, why are you using find and replace? Just back off, get your own sandwich. Okay, first URL auto string, and then first URL JS string, and then first URL auto string equals such and such. Okay. So what I'll do is copy that, and then we'll do the same thing, but for these, I'm going to do our find and replace. And I'm going to find and replace first URL with second URL. Find, replace, first URL with second URL. Replace. Replace, and then no more. And this should be mozilla.org. And then we should expect that this will pass. And then I think this test is done. And, you know, that's been a good hour of us figuring this out, but we got there. We can start checking this stuff off the list. We had need to get a JS string out and compare wait for resolve or spin until resolve with return a JS value. So done and done. So, what happened? Error value of second URL string equals literal mozilla.org. Actual false, expected true. Interesting. What is it then? Printf second URL value is second URL auto string. I think I can do this. Excuse me. Drinking a lot of bubbly. This stream is not brought to you by Bubbly. I'm not sponsored by Bubbly in any way, but I do enjoy their products. Today's flavor is orange. Orange. A little bit of a warning there. Well, we'll see what happens. I might have to tell it that I'm promising that the string is ASCII, like promise flat C string or something. Second URL value is H. Yeah, I think I have to promise a, what was it? Promise flat C string. Promise flat C string something like that. Will that work? It might want promise flat string instead. Bubbly is an actual product. That's right, Bubly. Again, I'm not sponsored by them. This is not like a paid endorsement. But I will say that of all of the tasty sparkling water I've tried, for some reason I maybe it's just branding and packaging. It's just, look at that. Doesn't that make you thirsty? They're so happy. Look at them dancing around all the flavors. But ultimately, it's flavored water. That's what we're dealing with here. So it's all branding. And I like their branding. Okay, still not happy because I think it wants not a C string. It wants a flat string. And yeah, you want to do that if create temporary buffer. If you've got some abstract string. Printf. Oh, I could also do this. That's probably what I want to do. Yeah, sorry, I want to do this. Convert UTF-8, 16 to UTF-8. It's been a while. Should have looked for printf in here. Isn't it wild that it's nearly September? I was gobsmacked when I looked at the calendar and realized that this August just zipped right by. We only did one episode of The Joy of Coding in August. And what episode are we on? We're on episode 336. When will 350 be, I wonder? Will it be before the end of the year? So we have 14 episodes until episode 350. How many weeks are there left in the year? There 4 weeks in a month. So we might cut it kind of close. It might be actually at the beginning of next year with holidays and stuff, or with like if I take breaks or something. The 350 might end up being second URL value is example.com. Did I forget to... You know what? I'll bet it's because I'm doing all of this silly reuse. Let's not do that. That's probably asking for trouble. So let's create one each. I don't really want to dig too deep into what's going wrong here. So we're going to say first link. And we're going to say second link. And then we can maybe reuse this auto string. And we'll say second link, set arguments, and then we'll also say second link, set icon location at path dot get 0. And we'll add second link. Let's see if that makes it happier. Special shout out to anyone watching this stream who second link set icon location type. Yeah, sorry, shouldn't be a period. Special shout out to anyone watching this stream who I met last week I think Danny Colin's one of them, but maybe there are other people watching the stream who I saw last week in person, which was wild. It was a wild experience. For the people who didn't know, the Mozilla All Hands occurred. So a bunch of Mozilla E people got together from across different organizations like the foundation, the corporation, various subsidiaries. We all got together. I got to meet some great Thunderbird folk. Very excited about what's been going on in that project. Got to say hi to those people. I have a soft spot for Thunderbird. I think people who know me are probably not surprised by this. I have a real soft spot for Thunderbird, mainly because I started working on Thunderbird. Second URL. Okay, well then what's the first URL? You're not happy about that. Well, second URL out of string equals... Okay, well then what's the first URL? It's got to be example.com, right? Otherwise, we'd be seeing that other failure. So we've got two... Do we have a bug here? Are we seeing a bug? If so, that's interesting. We may have uncovered a bug in our implementation of Jump List Builder. More likely, I'm just doing something wrong with constructing this collection. I would like to have this test wrapped up before the end of this episode, though, so let's put our thinking caps on. Second... Oh, did I just not change the string? Yeah, okay. So, they're both example.com for some reason. Let's double check and make sure we haven't completely confused ourselves. So, we construct first link. We say that first link's URL is example.com. We set a path. Then we add first link to the collection. Then we create second link. And second link is using mozilla.org as its URL. And we set the same icon location. That should be fine, I think. And then we add second link. And then we convert it into an array. And for some reason, we get example.com and example.com out the other side. So let us now add some... Let's do a little bit of debugging here. I don't exactly know how to debug a G-test using like Visual Studio. I'm just going to do some printf debugging because I don't know how else to do this. Check for removals. Do check for removals is the part that we care about. What it's going to do is it's going to get this list. And then it's going to construct URIs to remove. It's going to go through. If succeeded. Location. It's append element, the spec, and a string. Arg list. We get the command line args, the buffer, an LPW stir, arg list. Let's see if we can just like print that out. Arg list. I don't know how I don't know how printf is going to feel about that, but we'll see. Maybe I need to pop the string from the array? Not sure what you mean. Not sure what you mean, Smurfdy. Tell me more. Tell me more. Okay, specifies type char star, but thing we have is a wide char star star. Okay. Oh, it's an array. Star arc list. Buff is a W char. T. We fill it. Wide char T. Could we like print the buffer? Could we say that instead? Tell me more about popping the string from the array, Smurf-D. Smurf-D, Smurf-D. No. W char T. How do I print? I need to printf a W char T. Displaying wide cars with printf. Yeah. Why is this so hard? W printf, or it's C wide string. W printf. Is that what I want? W printf. Maybe you just check the first value of the array, not the whole array. Is that what I've been? Maybe you're right. Hold up. I think that's exactly. Oh, you. Smurf-D. Smurf-D, you did it. You genius. You saw it. I probably would have been struggling with this until the end of the episode. You're the best. Okay, so what did you see? Well, first of all, let me remove the logging that I just put in. I don't need that anymore. Although I'm curious whether or not it would have allowed it. No. Okay, that's fine. So the problem is that the test is still accessing the 0th element of the array right here. I'm getting at the 0th. I forgot to change that too. Which means that we might be able to update, like go back to what we were doing before. And just reusing the shell link. So let us now access the 1th item properly this time. Smurf-D. So Danny Colin writes, plot twist. Smurf-D knew it from the start and was enjoying watching Mike struggling. Hey, who doesn't like watching me struggle? I'd rather you didn't withhold critical information, but maybe, I mean, I've definitely seen people play like point and click adventure games for the first time where like the whole audience, the chat knows what the person who's playing needs to do in order to proceed, and they're just like and you know the person playing the game is kind of flailing around. If you do ever know the answer though of what it is that I'm trying to do in C++ at least, feel free to dump that stuff into the chat. You don't have to, but it'd be great. There you go. Smurf-D. That's like 17 minutes that I was spent because of single characters. Story of my life. Not the case, just for the record. Well, I appreciate that, Smurf-D. I appreciate that. And good job finding that. You saved the day. You saved the day, Smurf-D. Okay, so we've got ourselves our test done. Let's amend, and let's think about our next test. I think the next test is the one that's probably the most interesting, which is populate jump list. Come on, where is HTML? I probably could have just typed that in. Populate jump list is probably the more interesting method to call on our jump list builder here. we've got all of these things. The do's are the off main thread things. The ones that are basically what I'm exercising are these like things that are on the XBCOM interface, like is available, check for removals. We just did check for removals. We're about to do populate jump list. That's going to be really interesting. And then we'll do clear jump list. We've already done is available, I think. I don't think we've done obtain and cache favicon. That might be an interesting one. I don't exactly know how we'll test that, but let's set up our test for populate jump list, because I think that'll be really interesting. So I think we can actually copy this structure, because we're going to be doing much of the same thing. But this one's going to be populate jump list. Test calling populate jump list. Populate jump list. And receiving a series of removed jump list. Oh, no. Yeah, this needs to happen before populating. Test calling populate jump list to write a series of items into the jump list. Okay. We got our testing backend. We got our test application ID. We got our builder. Oh, there's another thing I want to try before we do all this stuff. Which is, I want to, I can just, if need be, we'll copy the other method. But the thing I wanted was to follow up on something that Ocris had mentioned, which is that we have these helpers. Assert H result succeeded. I was doing these other things before inside the Lambda. Moz assert succeeded, and he suggested you could have something like assert H result succeeded. And I'm curious to know whether or not that'll compile. So let's see if that'll compile. Whoa! No, I didn't mean to amend. There it goes. There it goes. Oh well. This is so exciting. We're testing our thing. The other tests I'm gonna write, just to bring our really cool diagram back up here. We're testing this part. I'm also very eager to test this part. Unfortunately, there's not a great way of testing the whole thing top to bottom, except for manually. Yeah, see, I don't think I can use this macro inside the Lambda. I think we have to keep doing what we were doing. The Lambda expects a certain return value. These things will, like, those asserts have different return values. So good to know that those asserts exist, but no good deed goes unpunished. Okay, so populate jump list. This is very interesting, this one. Do populate jump list. This is where, like, all of the interesting things are going to happen. We're going to be passing in some task descriptions, a custom title, some custom descriptions, and we're going to hope that our, what is it, append category gets past the right stuff. What's the other one? Begin list is going to get called. It better, if you add useful logging about check for removals. Oh yeah, that's That is expected. We should probably write a test for that as well. Let's see here. Task descriptions. mJumpless backend, we're going to call add user tasks and append category. And then commit list. There's a lot, and then we're going to resolve with undefined. So we're not getting any like return value out the other side like we did with check for removals. This is going to resolve with undefined, which is fine. We have our helper that we can use that will just spin until it resolves. I'm actually very curious to know what will happen if we say, do this. If we say builder, let's set things up so that we say wait for resolver. We have a wait for resolver here. We append. We need to get the promise out. Where's the promise? Oh yeah, we gotta get a promise. We have JS context. All right, all of these things we need. All of this rigmarole. Promise. But instead of check for removals, we're going to say populate jump list. And the argument is very different. Resolver, we're going to not wait for result. Resolved. Populate jump list takes a JS array. We now know how to create those. We know how to read them. We're gonna now have to create them. We're gonna have to create some descriptions. We're gonna have to create a JS string and another JS array. What's interesting too is that these values, if I remember correctly, because I mean, I worked on this, populate jump list, they're defined in via WebIDL. And so there was a way for me to like create task descriptions. I was able to convert the value to a shortcut description very easily. I wonder if I can do the same thing kind of in reverse, where I create some jump list shortcut descriptions and turn them into JS values, if that makes any sense. Rooted value to JS value, rooted value. These things are defined inside of the, where was it? Some kind of WebIDL. Did I put them in here? At any rate, I can take a look inside some of these other dictionaries. Heap snapshot boundaries. And look at some of the generated code. Snapshot boundaries in Chrome, utils binding. Yeah. There's like init, which will do the work of converting a JS val into the thing. Now, does it do it the other way around? Can I like serialize to object internal? Does it have something that lets me turn it into a JS? To object internal. Like init. Get property. Is there something like doing JS set property? I guess not, eh? Like, excuse me. Generated JS set property. Media rule binding. Set media. Can run script set media. Set property. Like, I don't want to have to. It's such a pain in the butt to create these things. It'd be nice if I could just convert one of these Windows shortcut description things into what I want. I might have to ask around. How to convert a dictionary. Because like we've got the one way. We basically just need the other way, where we need to turn a dictionary in native code back into JS somehow. Surely there's stuff that like returns dictionaries, right? Like, but our XP Connect layer is probably doing the work of like converting them into JS objects. Dictionary. Attributes pattern dictionary. Dictionary base. Stringify to JSON. Append JSON to string. Stringify to JSON. It's not quite. String as a base class. We can is base able to detect dictionary template arguments. Object. Serves base class. Is base of dictionary base. Binding utils. I feel like there's something here. Is dictionary sequence trace sequence is convertible to dictionary. I want to convert a dictionary back to a JS value. How do I do that? Stringify to JSON to JS value. What's this? What's this? I think I found it. This might be it, where I can pass. This is very difficult to read, but I believe I can say to JS value. On the dictionary. I think that's true. To JS value. Is that true? Dictionary? Okay, how about dot or dictionary? Result M additional information to JS value. What is M additional information? Profile generation. It's a struct. Okay, well, I might be able to do it. Like, there's a hint here. There's some suggestion that I might be able to do it. What time is it? It's 2:32. I don't want to get too stuck into this, but I really want to know. Okay, populate jump list takes task descriptions, custom title, custom descriptions. What is the actual signature? That. It's an NST array of JS values, and then a context, and then the promise. So I'm gonna let's set that up. Task desks, custom title. What was the last one? Custom descriptions, custom desks. So now we have to create our task desks and our custom desks. I presume I can't just be like null pointer, right? Like I have to. I guess I could pass some empty arrays. I wonder if it would accept that. I have a feeling I would have thought of that. Yeah, if there's no length, it's no good. Okay. So I need to create an NST array of JS values. Array. I need to create an array. An NST array. I think there is an XPCOM, some documentation about this. NST array. I might have even written it, or at least converted it. XPCOM collections. I think I worked on this a few years ago. Type safe array for holding various objects similar to standard vector. Here's an incomplete list. There are Rust bindings. Hash keys. Hash set. How do I create one of these? Can I just say like NST array? Oh, yeah. Okay. NST, this is what I'll do. NST array, JS value, JS : value, task desks, NST array, JS value, custom desks, and then custom title needs to be a const NSA string reference. So NS auto string, custom title, my custom title, and then I think I do that. How does this work? Pass by? No, I think I can just pass them. Let's see what that does. I have a feeling it's going to complain pretty mightily. In fact, I'm going to stop the spin until resolve part because there's no way that we're getting to the point where we can resolve that promise. I'm just curious to know what'll happen. Will it compile? It's linking, so okay, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. No matter what happens, I'm going to end the episode right after we find out what's going on. What's going on? I want to thank you so much for watching episode 336 of The Joy of Coding. Let me know what you thought. Oh, something happened. Something happened. I called populate jump lists. It finished. We got to the other side of it. Who knows what the return value was? I guess I should, you know what I also should be doing is I should be ensuring that the return value when I do like check, what was it? Check for removals. Check for removals. You know what I should be doing is like NS result RV, assert true, NS succeeded RV. Should definitely be doing that. And I'll do the same thing here. NS result RV. RV is like return value. It's old school. Assert true, NS succeeded RV. That almost certainly will not pass. There's no way we're resolving to like NSOK or something. Oh, it's going to be like invalid argument because I'm passing an empty array. So I have a feeling like one of the very first things that like we'll enter here and just be like, nope, error invalid arg, and then explode. That's my guess. I'm excited to see that occur. Yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for watching episode 336 of The Joy of Coding. Let me know what you thought. There's a rate this episode form in the agenda, buried deep. I'll put a link to it in the chat right now, just in case people want to click on that. Rate this episode. There's the link. And you can tell me what you thought. You can also use that to ask me questions if there's stuff you want to know about Firefox or the code base or Gecko or JavaScript or C++, and I'll do my best to answer them. I might not have answers for you, but I'll do my best. This is hilarious. I did not expect... That is a mystery. I don't know what's happening here. I don't know how this could possibly be returning NSOK. So... I'm so excited to look into that with you next time. So let's add a comment like, how is this possibly returning NSOK? Interrobang. And we'll look into that next week. In fact, let me check for removals, I think is done. Populate jump list. How come when I pass in empty arrays, it's still returning NSOK? What is happening? And then we need to like figure out how to convert our description objects into JS values. There might be helpers for this via dictionary base. And I'll link to this stuff. Permalink. There might be helpers. And then, once we get populate jump list tested, I think we might be a few weeks out from getting to the point where we're done our G tests, and we can start working on our other tests for like the Windows jump list module. But at that point, I'd be happy to put it up for review. Like I'd be ready for like some review feedback for the new backend. We can land, if possible, land the new backend disabled by default, but with G tests. I'd be pretty happy about that. And then we can start thinking about, we could work on the additional tests while that's, going through revisions. Eventually that lands, maybe the other tests land on top, and then we can figure out our game plan for experimenting with this, trying a rollout and seeing if we can get this feature turned on by default. Tested by nightly. Maybe we'll start there. Tested by nightly, and then looking for crashes and weird behavior, and then doing a wider rollout. Okay, I've kept you here too long. Thanks again for watching episode 336. Let me know what you thought. I'll see you all next week for episode 337. Take care, everybody. It's good to be back. Bye-bye.
The joy of
See ya.